Now, many of you have probably read my thumbnail or the video description on this video, and you're coming in here with all kinds of rage and ready to yell and scream. But I'd like to state the following. Number one, I'm Canadian, so I come in peace. And the point of this video is to unite, not to divide. And there's been a lot of dividing going on right now in Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2. And that is really the genesis of why I want to make this video. I kind of want to go over some talking points with the hope of, after watching this video, we can all just let calmer heads prevail. And at the end of the day, I truly do believe at the end of the rainbow, there is a world where Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 are thriving. And I present to you, and please don't hate me for saying this, but hear me out. Watch the whole video and listen to what I'm about to say and break down. And that is, the success of Path of Exile 2 is the success of Path of Exile 1. This is why I believe both games have a beautiful, thriving future. But I also want to kind of dissect this noise that's out there right now, and this 1 versus 2 camp, and we can only have one. Why do you have, we have people on the POE 1 camp that are stating, why are you wasting all your resources on POE 2? POE 1 is what made Grinding Gear games. Get rid of that game. This is the game that works. Path of Exile 2 camp is saying, why are you wasting your breath on Path of Exile 1 at all? You should just get rid of it. The future is POE 2. And I present to you, everyone, calm down. There's a future in both. And I kind of want to lay kind of like the groundwork of where I'm coming from and why I believe this. Because there is a part of the population out there, part of the player base, that thinks Path of Exile 1 is doomed. And I don't think that. I actually think quite the opposite. I think Path of Exile 1 is gonna benefit, they're gonna benefit from Path of Exile 2. Now, currently, it's not looking like that. And I totally agree with that thought process. It's not. It looks like it's being thrown to the curb, and Grinding Gear Games doesn't care about it. I get it, and I totally understand and relate to why people are feeling like that. But I'm a glasses half full kind of guy, and I'm going to present to you and break down in this video why I believe that's not going to be the case in the future. Now, I also do want to say the recent announcement from Jonathan and Grinding Gear Games about the fact that they had to pull all the resources from Path of Exile 1 to focus on PoE 2 was a huge, huge miscalculation and error on Grinding Gear Games. Absolutely, 200%. And I do have a comment in reference to that. And this is kind of just me putting it out there. There's only so many times a person can cry wolf. This is not the first time that Grinding Gear Games has said something and not been able to deliver on it and come out fallen on the sword and expect everyone to take it with a smile on their face. Now, they have built a lot of trust, and I personally believe what they say, and I believe people until they make me feel like I can't believe them anymore. So right now, Grinding Gear Games hasn't done enough for me to feel like that. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Although, like I stated in my last video, their armor took a huge kink. It's not as bright and shiny. So they have a lot of work to do, and hopefully they can clear up this mess. So I do want to say And I do want to acknowledge this was a grave error, a big mistake, one that they need to make sure that this doesn't happen, because you can only cry wolf so many times. Sooner or later, people are going to start believing you when you cry wolf. So right now, I personally am not at that stage. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. But let's get into kind of how we got here, because there's some things that we just have to understand. We have our gamer hat on all the time. And yes, we are gamers. All we look at is the game. Is it good? Is it bad? Do we like it? Do we not like it? But this is also a business. And I'm sorry, Path of Exile 1 players. And by the way, when I say Path of Exile players, I'm one of them. I play Path of Exile 1 now. I only started playing from the Crucible League 3.21. So many of you may have been there since day one, have spent a lot of time, a lot of resources. But it's not like I'm a new only Path of Exile 2 player. Yes, I love Path of Exile 2. I'm sorry to say this, but it is the future for grinding gear games, and I hope to demonstrate that in this video. But I also believe, strongly believe, that Path of Exile 1 is going to benefit from Path of Exile 2's popularity, and also the revenue it's going to generate for grinding gear games, which I believe, if it was me, I would be also spending some of that popularity and money on elevating Path of Exile 1. That is such an amazing game and has a tremendous following and player base. But how did we get here? Why does POE 2 even exist? Now, as gamers, you look at the game and yes, it looked old, it looked tired. The numbers, they capped out. There was no more room, as they explained it. There wasn't more room to grow, as Jonathan explained in one of his many interviews leading up to the early access of Path of Exile 2. So it reached its full potential, and the numbers and data show that. So if you put your business hat on, you also have to look at it from a financial perspective, okay? So from a gaming perspective, okay, they needed to evolve. They needed to expand their player base. And I'm not going to get into that because we already know that's one of the genesis of why they created POE 2. They wanted to appeal to a bigger audience, but it also, you have to put on your business hat to also understand this is not just about the game looking old and not being so complicated that they couldn't expand their player base. They had reached their limit. That's the gaming side. But on the business side, this is their 2023 financial statement, okay? The 2024 financial statement is not out, and I'm not an accountant, okay? But I do have a business degree. I did own a company. I did run businesses. So I can kind of read financial statements at a very layman perspective. Well, a little bit more than that. But anyway, I'm not going to pretend to be some financial analyst, okay? But if you look at their financial statements going back even all the way, let's just say 2020, every year there was a trend, and that trend was going down as far as revenue. And now it's not all because Path of Exile 1 was losing popularity. It's also contributed to the fact that they were spending a lot of money on the research and development, the operating costs, the hardware costs associated to developing Path of Exile 2. So this doesn't lie only on the Path of Exile 1 game not expanding and providing more cash to them, but it does play a factor in it. Another factor is making a new game, Path of Exile 2, and that costing more money, hiring more people, etc. Right? So that combination has led to a small decline every year since 2020. 2020. And as you can see this is just the 2023. I'm not going to go and show you every one since 2020. That's what I did. But you can see expenses are going up, profits are going down, and the profit for the year in 2022 is 48, almost, let's call it 50, and in 2023 29. Like big drops, guys. This is big drops. And again, not all because POE 1 wasn't growing and making them a lot of money. It's also attributed to the fact that they're spending a lot of money and resources and hiring more people to make Path of Exile 2. But I wanted to show you very quickly that, because you have to put yourself in the position of grinding gear games. This is not just a video game. It's also an organization. It's a company. They have shareholders. They want to be profitable. And so that's the business side. That's where we got. And also, financially, the numbers were screaming at them. You got to do something. You got to make another game. Now, some people will argue that they would have loved them just to add more onto Path of Exile 1. And that's another discussion. I'm not going to go there. At the end of the day, guys, they made the decision. They want to make a whole new, completely different game. Path of Exile 2 is out there. And it's hugely, hugely successful. Over 1 million early access keys bought prior to the launch on December 6th. You guys know the numbers. If I remember, I'll pop them up with SteamDB. You can see the huge, huge difference in concurrent player counts. And this is just one side of the picture. Obviously, standalone consoles are not reflected on the Steam charts, but it is a good indication of what is going on as far as the concurrent player count. Path of Exile 2 is more popular. It's going to generate more revenue. You can disagree with me, but this is not the point of the video. The point of the video and why I've made these points is Path of Exile 2 had to be made, and I think it was a smart decision on Grinding Gear Games. The numbers show it, and I'm going to argue to you when the 2024 financial statements come out, it's also going to show from the business side it was the right thing to do. And we already know that because they sold over 1 million keys. Who knows how it's going to be when the full release is out? All the microtransactions that they're going to make off of all the players that are going to be playing this game. It's endless. It's endless potential. It's brought in so many new players that just don't play and didn't play Path of Exile 1. But that leads me to why I believe the success of Path of Exile 2 can also be the success of Path of Exile 1. So first of all, let's look at the game itself. Looks old, outdated, fun to play. I love playing. Settlers of Kalgor was the best league that I played, hands down. And players that played longer than I came in at 3.21, so people that have been there way longer agree with me as well. A lot of people believe Settlers of Kalgor is one of the best leagues ever made in Path of Exile 1. So it's the best ARPG out there right now, right? And I would argue to you that Path of Exile 2's its success from a concurrent player count and from a financial perspective for Grinding Gear Games just provides this platform to bring up Path of Exile 1. I see a world in the future when everything calms down with Path of Exile 2, because right now the end game is a shit show. The campaign is a masterpiece in my opinion. But once they nail down that, once things simmer down and things are humming in Path of Exile 2 and they're pumping out leagues, you guys have to think of all the new assets they've made because of Path of Exile 2. And Jonathan spoke about that. Again, in the plethora of interviews he did leading up to the early act, all the assets they have to that they can go to, I think this is a resource that they could use to elevate Path of Exile 1, number one. Number two, they're going to be making a lot more money with Path of Exile 2. So having both generates more income for them than just having the one, Path of Exile 1. Because they're successful financially, they will be able to uplift Path of Exile 1 in many ways. I also argue to you, because of the success of Path of Exile 2, all these new players that never stepped foot in Rayclass, never played Path of Exile 1, I bet you, now I don't know percentage wise, but I'm willing to bet some of these new Path of Exile 2 players are going to try Path of Exile 1 now because they dipped their toes in Path of Exile 2 and Rayclass, even though I believe it's 20 or 25 years later, lore-wise. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. They're gonna try Path of Exile 1 when Elite comes out. Why wouldn't they? They like Path of Exile 2. Hey, you know what? I know a little bit more now. I'm not that afraid. And they're going to try Path of Exile 1. And this is the genesis of my argument, is the fact that why are we dividing right now when we should be uniting? We should be cheering on. Again, I don't want to sound like a shill, but I want all video games to be successful because that, as a content creator and live streamer, that gives me access to more content, which is a content creator's dream. So we don't want to see any games fail. But when it comes to Path of Exile 2, I'm cheering it on because I also think it's correlated with the success of Path of Exile 1. Now, you guys jump in and tell me I'm smoking weed here, or being a shill, or I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about. You let me know. But is that being naive? I'm sorry. I'm putting my business hat on right now. And if I own two products and one is super successful, I'm going to try to leverage that success and make this successful product even more successful. Because having two successful products is better than just having one. Now, again, I'm generalizing. And at the end of the day, guys, who knows? Maybe some of the naysayers are correct. Grinding Gear Games doesn't care about Path of Exile 1. They're throwing us to the side. It's dead. Rip. You guys have seen all the memes. I don't know anyone from Grinding Gear Games. I respect them. I love the games that they make. I'm a huge POE 1 fan. I'm a huge Path of Exile 2. And I want to see both. And I argue to you, the success of Path of Exile 2 is going to lift and elevate the success of Path of Exile 1. Right now, it doesn't look that way. But I'm telling you, this is my speculation and what I think is going to happen down the road, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. And I've said this before, not only on my live stream, but on my past videos. There are future days ahead, brighter days ahead, sorry. And like I said, I don't want to discount how Path of Exile 1 players are feeling hurt, discarded, like trash, like they've been thrown to the curb. I totally get it. I acknowledge it. I empathize with that. It is sad. It really is. This should have been hell. This should have been dealt with differently, because we don't have a Path of Exile 2 without Path of Exile 1. And Path of Exile 1, the player base, deserved to be treated like what they are. And that is, they are the foundation of Path of Exile 2. Without that success, GGG doesn't have POE 2. So they deserve their respect. And I'm hoping, please, Grinding Gear Games, you need to come out with a plan, with a roadmap, ASAP. The sooner, the more radio silence, the more memes, the more speculation, the more divide we're going to get in the community. And this community is an amazing, welcoming, beautiful community. Right now, it doesn't look like that. There's a small percentage that are really going back crazy right now. But please, you need to come out with a roadmap so at least Path of Exile 1 players know what's coming. They're used to consistent time leagues. They're used to this. And the fact that they haven't had one in 7, 8 months, 9 months, 6 months, whatever it's been, I think it's 7 months. Can you blame them for being upset? So please, I know you're figuring all kinds of stuff out, but you need to bring a roadmap. You need to say something as definite as you can. This is going to happen in March. This is going to happen in April. At least they will know. Please, Grinding Gear Games. I think they've earned that you owe them that. Not you personally, but the company. You owe that to that community that established this foundation for Path of Exile 2 to be built. Anyway, that's my logic, guys. Let me know what you think. Guys, I know it's easy to say, but please, let's unite, not divide. When I first came in to the Path of Exile community back in 3.21, a lot of people welcomed me with open arms. A lot of content creators, much bigger than me, welcomed me. They're doing it today. I got rated from so many big content creators in this space. A small guy like me, content-wise, very welcoming. I have so many people in my community that have been playing Path of Exile 1 since day one, and they're so resourceful and so helpful in helping me understand the game, helping me learn and grow in how to be a better player in Path of Exile, whether it be 1 or 2. So I know you're hurt right now, and I'm speaking to the OG POE 1 players. I know you're hurt, and I don't blame you. You have every right to be upset. It's not right how you were treated, but it's not, in my opinion, this game, Path of Exile 1, is not going anywhere, guys. I think it's only going to get better. So please, let's calmer heads prevail. Okay? It's such a good community. I would hate for it. Let's not burn the house down, guys. Let's not burn it down. Okay? Both games can exist and thrive without jeopardizing the other one. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but I would argue to you that my opinion is that they are both going to be winners and big time games in the ARPG space. Anyway, let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Am I out to lunch? I would love to hear it. Thanks for watching as always, guys. If you could subscribe to my content, I would really appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything, but it would mean the world to me. And I do also want to remind you that I do live stream on Twitch every evening. Channel name is SamyCaps. We'd love to have you. We have a chill, cool community. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.